Hello and welcome back to Aubrey, Books, and Coffee. Please grab your favorite beverage of choice and join me. Today it's going to be iced coffee though because it's June. It's June, you guys, the month of summer and beach and swimming and shorts and shirts and warmer weather and gardening, and kids are out of school, which for some makes you weep, but for others it can be a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing 100 days of learning for Katie whenever we have the 100 days of summer. So it's something I kind of created because I'm a nerd and it's what I do. But that is neither here nor there, and not why you in particular are here. You want to see the June game, and I want you to know there's a little bit of a twist this month with the game. I had some help picking out my books. I still did do some rolls, which I apologize ahead of time for. They came out blurry. It made me so mad, but I didn't want to re-roll because I had already given the prompts to my special guest today. And so I didn't want to mess it all up with trying to figure out her picks for me for my TBR. So without further ado, let's meet our special guest.
I'm Carly Sauer. I am a middle school librarian in Carmel. I've always been a huge reader. I was totally that kid growing up who couldn't get enough of books. In fact, my little sister used to go crying to my mom, and she would say, "Mom, make her put down her books and stop reading her books and start playing with me." It was totally her thing. And so I decided to become a librarian. It was later on, like in college. So I was the kid who I actually took a library media class in high school, and I worked in my library, loved it. Went to college, thought I wanted to do other things. But my junior year of college, I was doing this program called the Philadelphia Center program, where you go to the city and you take classes and you work and you learn. So you do seminars, like one day a week. You do an internship, and you take like one other class, and my one other class was one kind of about exploring what you wanted to do. And it was through the exercises in that class that I realized I wanted to make a difference. Those who had made the biggest difference in my life were educators. And then thinking about what I wanted to teach, I'm not an elementary person. And I thought, my dream job would be to be a school librarian. And so I've been doing this for 12 years now. I love it. I read widely. One thing people always ask me when I tell them what I'm reading, they're like, "But what are you reading for fun?" And I'm like, everything I read is for fun. I truly enjoy middle grades, YA, all the way up through adult books.
And you're on Goodreads. Mm-hmm. What is your name on that?
On Goodreads, I am Carly Christine. Or Carly, which one am I? Yeah.
I'll look it up and edit.
Okay.
And add it.
Okay. I think I'm Carly Christine on there. I'm also on Instagram as the Loud Librarian. It's the _ Loud Librarian, all one word. I'm also on TikTok where I'm doing my book stuff there, and I'm the Loud Librarian 6. So it's the same as my Instagram, but just with a 6 at the end.
Fantastic. And along with educating the future and reading lots of great books and reviewing, you do promote some self-published authors too. Like, didn't you say there's someone in high school that just recently?
There is. So I'm actually, and that's actually one of my books for today. I'm like 80% of the way through it. It is really good. Stormless by Nick Steidel. I am loving it. He's a self-published author. He's a junior, finishing up his junior year at Carmel High School, and it's a high fantasy YA.
Fantastic. Well, what would be your all-time favorite genre?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think my go-to all-time favorite is just going to be like your contemporary, like your realistic fiction.
Okay, I love it. So there you go. Carly is amazing. She is a beautiful person. She's brilliant. She reads so much, and she just loves these kids. So we are so blessed to have her as the librarian at my kids' middle school, and I'm so blessed to be able to have her pick out my TBR. So let's go ahead and see how these rolls go. Okay, we're going to roll to see how many rolls we're going to do for June. I'm excited. 10. We have 10 that we're going to be doing. All right, let's do this. Roll number 1 is a peppermint, and it says a historical fiction. Ooh. All right, roll number 1 was historical fiction. Let's do this.
All right, we're going to get Stateless by Elizabeth Wayne. I don't know how to pronounce it, but she's phenomenal. And this is her newest.
Oh, fantastic. So our first recommendation from Carly was Stateless by Elizabeth Wayne, I believe. You know, I'm terrible with names, so I apologize if I'm wrong on any of these. This follows a young female pilot named Stella North, and she's been chosen for the first ever Europe's air race in 1937. And so she's hoping to promote peace. She's hoping to represent her country, and she's the only female pilot. So of course there's going to be some problems along the way, should we say, but I'm really excited to dive into this. I've never read a air race kind of story before, so this will be a lot of fun. Roll number 2 is a roll again. So I'm going to pick a coffee. And it says newest publication date. All right, the second roll was for the newest publication date. And what is your recommendation?
If I See You Again Tomorrow by Robbie Couch. It's a YA, like a time loop romance. It's LGBTQ. It's awesome. It reminded me a lot of They Both Die at the End.
Oh, that sounds so good. Okay, all right, we're doing good. Roll number 3, a book. And it's Unheard of? Something unheard of? Roll number 3 got us Unheard of.
Okay, so I'm going to throw out Stormless by Nick Steidel. That is a new self-published by a student at our high school, and it is a high fantasy YA.
Yes, let's promote that self-pub. Our third recommendation was Stormless by Nick Steidel. And I went ahead and ordered it on Amazon because with self-publishing, it's not usually found in the library system. So, I mean, not normally. So I did look, and they did have his name on there, like they recognized it as existing, but no copies were available. So I went ahead and ordered it. It's a bit thick, but I do love me a good fantasy. So I'm excited to do this. Plus, you know, it supports a self-published author, not to mention one as young as that. So I love that Carly recommended him, and I'm excited to read it and swap notes with her on what we thought. Roll number 4, a wine glass. Okay. And it says, spice it up. Rule number 4 was spice it up.
All right, I dug back into the archives for this. It's called the Harry Kubert Affair.
Ooh.
There are a lot of twists and turns, a lot of love triangles, a lot of spice.
Nice. Rule number 5, halfway there. Another wine glass. And it says most anticipated read, and we have a coffee break. Wah, wah. All right, rule number 5, most anticipated read.
All right, so this one is because all of our students read Other Words for Home this year in 7th grade language arts, and this one was one that I knew was coming down the pipeline. I've actually already read it, and it's awesome. It's called The Next New Syrian Girl.
I love this recommendation by Carly for anticipated read, The Next New Syrian Girl by Reem Shakari. It's going to follow a Syrian American high schooler senior, and basically her world is going to collide with a Syrian refugee. And so we're going to see what's going to happen when you have the world of plenty mixed with a refugee's life. And I think it'll be eye-opening and inspiring, and I'm excited to read it. All right, let's do our coffee break. Oh, I hope it's kind. Please be nice. Please be caffeine. I get a bookish item. Yeah, baby. Roll number 6 is a book again. And it's color in the title. Color in the title.
All right, violets are blue, so like bonus points, it technically has 2 colors in the
Ooh, I like bonus points.
But this one is awesome. It's one of our Young Hoosier middle grade nominees for next year.
So because I am such a big nerd, I love the extra points I'm going to get now for having 2 color words in the title. So thank you, Carly, for that. That's awesome. Violets Are Blue by Barbara D. And I love that it's got this mermaid half makeup going on the cover, because this is going to follow 7th grader Rin is her name, who basically her parents just got a divorce. She had to move to a new town. She's trying to adjust to life. One of her coping strategies is to hop on YouTube and to watch these incredible makeup transformations that others are able to do. And so she tries to mimic this one look in particular that's a mermaid look, and she just can't seem to get it right, which is driving her crazy. Well, she gets asked to participate in the musical Wicked at school to do the makeup for them, and she starts to finally make friends, and things seem to be going right. Then all of a sudden, things with mom seem to be going weird and wrong. And so it's all about her trying to, I think, get strength and discover what's going on and help people and get help from people. And so I'm excited. I love me a good story. Roll number 7 is a wine glass. And it's a biography or a memoir. Now for this role for biography memoir, I actually did not ask Carly because there's one in particular I really need to get to, and I will explain why in just a second. So what I'm going to be doing for that prompt is reading, and I apologize for my swearing. Cover the ears of the young ones. No Shit, Here I Am by Jared Taylor. The reason I want to read this one big time is because Jared, I actually went to high school with. We knew each other growing up big time. He went into the Army. I've been in the Army for 8 years. He just has a lot of good stories in here that I want to read anyway. I wanted to support his self-published book. I am all about the self-publishing for this round. And I not only wanted to kind of read and see his views and what happened, but Jared was very generous enough to help promote my book when it came out, which was so sweet. And he didn't have to do that. And on top of that, he's agreed to let me interview him. So as soon as I finish this book, I am going to be interviewing him this month as well. And that will come out in July for the 4th of July as kind of support for patriotism for Independence Day. And you'll get to actually see him in person. And so I'm excited to do this. If anybody's read this book or has any questions they want me to specifically ask him, please message me. Just DM me on Instagram. It can be my own personal Tiara Aubrey account or the ABC, one that I do for our book club each month. Either way, just get me a message, let me know, and I'm happy to ask questions, or even down below comment some questions you'd like me to ask him. I am going to get a little personal as well with his family and stuff and questions there, because he is a friend from way back when and a survivor of Mattoon High School Green Wave. So that's why I'm doing that one. Roll number 8. Another wine glass. I'm just going to be drunk after this one. And it's a blind date with a book. Rule number 8 is blind date with a book.
The Extraordinaries by T.J. Klune.
Oh.
Love it. It's the author of The House in the Cerulean Sea.
I've not read that either.
Oh, it's okay. But it's the first book of his YA series, and you will dive in, love the characters, laugh out loud.
Fantastic. Rule number 9. A roll again. I haven't had a cookie yet. Let's do a cookie. Published this year. Roll 9 was published this year.
What Lies in the Woods? It's a murder thriller, and it had some really good twists in it.
All right. And the last roll, roll number 10, is a peppermint. Oldest publication date. All right, roll 10 was oldest publication date.
All right, it's obviously not the oldest publication date in this library, but that I recommend is Speak by Lori Halse Anderson. It is one of those books that is life-changing.
Oh, wow. So according to Carly, heavy praise for Speak by Lori Halse Anderson, that there's life-changing stuff happening in these pages. So I'm on board. All I know is it's got a teenager who feels like an outcast. People are making fun of her and giving her a hard time. I don't know why. So I'm very excited to read this, to have that life-altering moment, and to let you guys know about it at the end of the month. Now we're going to pick from our apothecary jar. Hopefully gives us a really good one. Here's hoping. And it says, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Okay. And so, of course, we have the apothecary jar pick, which was It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I've heard from a lot of people that you need to believe the title of this one, and that's what you can kind of expect from it. Now we're going to do our 2 Advent jar picks. Love that gift to myself. So I have one here, and if I can separate them, one here. So let's see what we got this time. We got The Maid. I've actually already read that. That hardly ever happens. So I'm going to pick a new one out of here. So let's see. The Stolen Kingdom, I've also already read. Wow. You can tell that I don't, these aren't rigged. Like, I completely do these with you guys because this is happening. Take My Hand by Dolan Perkins Valdez. And The Poison Season, I've already read. Well, good for me. It means I'm picking some really good books for my gifts. The Final Gambit by Jennifer Barris. So these will be the 2 that are added to my TBR. So the first Advent pick was Take My Hand by Dolene Perkins Valdez, I believe. This is based off of, or at least inspired by, true events that happened in 1973 in Alabama. This will follow Sybil Townsend, I believe is her name, who graduates from nursing school and goes back to her town and wants to make a difference in their lives, especially the African American community. And it's the heart-wrenching stories that she sees and the ways that she has to try to help them to overcome stereotypes and to help them with their basic medical care and things like that. So I think it's going to be a very heavy book. I'm preparing myself for it, but I did draw it and it was on there in my Advent jar because it's one that just really has been calling to me since I saw it come out. The other one was The Final Gambit. However, I this time did some research ahead of time and didn't mess myself up. This is actually book 3 in the Inheritance Games trilogy. So I'm going to actually start with book 1. And so instead of The Gambit, I'm going to be reading The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And from what I understand, this follows a high schooler named Avery who just wants to survive, right? Like, just get out of high school, get a scholarship to college, and get out of town. Unbeknownst to Avery, though, a billionaire named Tobias Hawthorne dies and leaves his entire fortune to Avery. All it requires is one little catch. And so that's what I'm going to discover, what that catch is, and if all that money does get to Avery, what Avery does with it. There's a trilogy here for a reason, so I'm excited to find out. It's time for the Bookopoly roll. If you remember last time, we ended on a summer read. So let's see. And doubles mean I have to go again. So we're kind of hoping no doubles. I have a lot on my list already. And it's 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that one is a cozy read. So that's going to be like a cozy mystery read. Ooh. Now, what about the cozy mystery prompt?
This is a middle grades one. It's called Absolutely Truly by Heather Vogel Frederick, and it's actually a cute little cozy mystery series.
Oh my gosh, that looks adorable. So Carly recommended one that sounds like so much fun for our cozy mystery, and that is Absolutely Truly by Heather Vogel Frederick. I'm excited about this one because it sounds like the girl Truly Lovejoy is 12 years old and already 6 foot tall. So she feels kind of like an outcast, but that's where she is right now, let alone when her family ups and moves her to this small town. So now she really feels like she sticks out, and not in a good way. And so she's miserable helping out at the bookstore until one day she finds a secret letter hidden in Charlotte's web. And apparently this letter is like a treasure hunt, and there's a lot of mystery behind it. So I am super excited about trying this one. I love that it was recommended. So the number generator stopped on 160, and I love that it did, guys. I could not have requested this any more perfectly than what happened, and that is finally, I'm reading book 2 by Sarah J. Maas, The House of Sky and Breath. This is that gorgeous Fairy Loot edition that I was able to get. Love it, love it, love it. Can't wait to continue to see what's going on with Bryce. Can't wait to see what happens in the world that they live. And I just have always loved Sarah J. Maas. So this is so perfect. And of course, I'm continuing reading the Star Wars books in chronological order. And so next is Star Wars Old Republic, Annihilation by Drew Karpyshyn. And this will be around the time frame of where the world's in chaos. The Emperor is missing, presumed dead. A previous Sith Lord's attempts to take over the throne, and the vacuum that has been left of power ended fatally for them. And so now we have the Sith Lord Carid, I think is how it's pronounced, who's now going to try her hand at taking over this Sith throne and thus taking over the galaxy. I'm also continuing the Robin Hobb Live Ship Traders trilogy and finally finishing it with the last one, which is Ship of Destiny. I'm hoping it's better than the previous two, that maybe this is where all the hype comes from. Otherwise, I don't know if I can believe you guys on which trilogy is the best. I still miss Fitz, and I wish I had more of him. I'm going to be honest. Next, of course, I participate in 3 different book clubs. The first one is with Covers with Cassidy, her backlist book club. We're continuing the second half of Red Sister because we get 2 months for every book that we do in this one. So I'm excited to kind of continue this and see how it goes. And I'll, of course, give you a review at the end of the month and see if I continue the series or not. The second one is Kim with Whimsical Narratives, her Queen Anne Lace Patreons page. We get to have a nonfiction and a fiction book. The nonfiction pick for this month, she ended up doing a vote, and we decided on Unsinkable by Debbie Reynolds. So I am super excited to read this. I can't wait to see. Like I said before, I don't really do nonfiction outside of this, so it's going to allow me to see a little bit more into the lives of others. And then, of course, there's my own personal book club. the ABC Book Club. It's going to look like there was a pause there or an edit there, but there wasn't. Even though the previous frame, there was a book behind my head, I promise it so wasn't a mistake that I forgot to grab our next book for June, which was, of course, Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. This is the second book that follows from Strange the Dreamer. We voted on it. We're super excited to read it. Totally forgot to grab it off the shelf. So I edited it. That way this looks smooth and polished and professional. Next, I also added in, of course, starting last month, the Reddit Fantasy Bingo Board. This time, I'm going to focus on the YA, which of course is my bread and butter anyway. And I'm finally going to finish the trilogy of The Shadow and Bone by reading Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. I'm excited to finally wrap this up, see what happens to everybody, and hopefully it's got a very satisfying and happy conclusion. And then I can finally watch the Netflix show. Now, I did also promise several of you I would start reading the books that I get these bookish items in with, and so I decided to pick a big chunker for the month of June because it's yellow, it's bright, it's got the word orange in it, and it kind of makes me feel like summery vibes. I'm finally going to tackle Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, and I know absolutely nothing about this. I know the sequel came out not long ago, and the sequel was actually kind of like a prequel, but that's literally all I know about it. So I'm excited to tackle, see what all the hype was about, and finally say that I've read this. I'm actually not going to be participating in any readathons for the month of June. The reason being, there's lots going on. I don't want to search one out. There's none happening that are ones I've participated in before or that I was just so excited about that I needed to do it. So I'm happy to take the month off and just get through my TBR and enjoy swimming and going down that lazy river and all kinds of good things. But I still want to talk about the top 3 new releases for the month of June that I am the most excited about. The first one, of course, is going to be Volume 4 of Lore Olympus. This, of course, will continue to follow Hades and Persephone, and they are the cutest. Oh my gosh, I love this graphic novel. The second, and that comes out June 6th. The second one I'm excited about is The Spare Room by Andrea Bartz. Now, this one's coming out on June 20th, and it's naughty. It's going to be a mystery thriller naughtiness. Kelly is actually strangely all of a sudden jobless, and now she's going to be homeless, and the lockdown's happening because of COVID. Well, her friend is so kind that Sabrina and her husband Nathan offer to let her stay at their mansion. They have a spare room. What could be better than staying with friends in a huge house during lockdown? So Kelly happily accepts, and they seem to be like a little family, and everything seems to be going well. Well, then some lines start getting crossed, and some spicy stuff starts to ensue, and so it seems like it's okay for a little bit, but then bad, dark things start happening. So it sounds very intriguing to me, and I can't wait to pick this up. Then the third one I'm excited about that also comes out on June 20th is 0 Days by Ruth Ware. This one follows a couple, Jack and her husband Gabe, and their job is to break into different companies to kind of show them where their security is lacking, and they're really good at their job. Unfortunately, Jack comes back from a job that she did on her own, and her husband Gabe has been murdered, and the police think Jack did it, and they're trying hard to catch her and throw her in jail. So it's all about Jack trying to figure out what really happened to her husband and to clear her own name. And I just think that sounds super exciting. Now, another new thing that I'm kind of adding, and it's very hit or miss if it ends up happening, so I'm not even going to add it to my list there. But something I started this last Friday during the sprints was to ask a book that they recommend that I add to my June TBR, and one that's been getting a whole lot of hype, and I have been so excited to actually get to and read, is the one they recommended the most. And so I'm happy to also add Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros to my TBR. Woo! I'm excited. This is that beautiful edition my husband surprised me with. This is the book that, if you remember, I had mentioned excited about it coming out, and I called it Fourth Win. So at least now I know the title, you guys. Next step, reading the book. Now let's do some writing rules. Now we're going to do my writing prompts. Got to keep the forward momentum. 5. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's a lot for my writing prompts. Woo. And we'll start with a peppermint. And it says to write 9,000 words. Way to take it easy on me, game. Our second rule is a cookie. Write 2,000 words. See, that's better. Third rule, peppermint. Write 18,000 words. Fourth rule, a book. And it's write 22,000 words. Who created these cards? And I have a coffee break. Here's that coffee break. Watch me get a -1 on top of all of that. Oh my gosh. Says, oh, I get a new book. Okay, thank you, coffee break. And the last roll again, wine glass. Yeah, I think I need wine. Now I know why there was so much wine in the TBR. Write a climax scene. Okay, that's doable. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wow. So I think maybe for a little while we're going to put a hiatus on the writing rolls, because I'm sorry, that's rough, you guys. There's no possible way in 1 month to write that much and still read my TBR, make videos for you guys, and oh yeah, enjoy my summer with my kids swimming. Like, there's just no possible way, you guys. So I know you just sat through all that, but we're going to scrap it, okay? I'm going to do what I can do and update you every Friday during sprints, and I think we're just going to have to be okay with that. That being said, of course, I am still going to be doing my challenge with Nesta Archer on Stairs and the Lord of the Rings Miles. And so I do plan on still knocking those out, if not more than what I've been doing so far, because I know I also need to get caught up. Thank you so much for doing this and for picking out all these incredible books. I can't wait to read them and review them, and hopefully several people that follow me will also want to pick these up, especially our self-published. So is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, my library has summer checkout, so I'm really excited about that. I've got students taking home books this week. They'll get to come see me during the summer.
Oh, that's so good.
So I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to dive into my reading list this summer.
Ooh, what's the most anticipated for you on that list?
I'm gonna knock out the Court of Thorns and Roses series finally. I've read the first one twice. I read it and I've listened to it, and I just haven't had the time to fully, you gotta put everything else aside.
Yes,
right?
you do.
So I'm gonna put everything else aside once I finish Stormless, and I'm gonna dive into the rest of that series.
Oh, you're gonna love it. And when we come back next year, I want you to tell me what you thought.
Okay.
Thank you. And so I think that actually brings us to the end. I'm going to link below all the things that were mentioned today, all of Carly's information. She's fabulous. Go check her out. And yeah, feel free to join us for book club and all the fun things and Friday sprints at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And thank you guys again for sticking around this long. Please like, subscribe, send your friends. Let's do another drawing because I really like those. Take care.